This video is an introduction on matrices. There's two essential questions. The first one, what is a matrix? The second one, what are terms in a matrix that I should know? Let's get to it. So first of all, a matrix is a rectangular arrangement of numbers by rows and columns used to display information. Use brackets to enclose them, but you'll notice that you don't see any commas separating the numbers. So here is a table for four different pizza restaurants in a town. Their pizza, drink, and salad prices for each one. You can use the table to make a matrix, which looks like this. In other words, you take all the numbers on the inside, you get rid of the dollar signs, you don't put any columns, you don't put any lines between them, and you simply make a matrix that looks like that, and you put brackets on the outside. If you ever use Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets before, you've dealt with matrices, maybe without realizing it. If you ever own your own business, you'll be using matrices a lot to try to do expense reports, pay employees, figure out deductions, all that kind of stuff. In a matrix, there's some things to know. Each element in a matrix is each individual number. Every single number has a certain place in it, and they're identified by rows and columns. If you can't remember the difference between a row and a column, which one looks like which, think of it like this. Rows are horizontal, columns are vertical. Rows are horizontal, columns are vertical. So knowing that, let's answer some of these questions down here. We're going to use this matrix A right here. So the first one says, what is the value of the element? So A21. So again, the 2 is my row, the 1 is my column. So I'm going to look at row 2. This is row 1. So this is row 2. And I'm going to look at column 1. This is column 1. My number in row 2, column 1 is 1.15. So the answer to the first one is 1.15. A12. That would be row 1, column 2. So it'd be 10.10. So A12 is 10.10. A34 is row 3, first row, second row, third row, and column 4. First column, second column, third column. Here's my fourth column, which means my answer is 3.85. Now that we know that, let's try to go in reverse order. Now, given the element, let's try to see if you can figure out what place in the table it would be, in the matrix it would be. 12.16, located right here. It's pretty straightforward. It's in the first row, first column. So that would be written as A because it's matrix A. And then you would use a little tiny below 1, 1. First row, first column. 1.05. Notice 1.05 is located up here. That's in the second row, in the first, second, third, fourth column. So you'd write that as capital A. And then you put a little tiny subscript. I said second row, fourth column, so 24. Finally, 3.69, located in the bottom row in the second column. So you'd write that as capital A, your subscript. And again, that was the third row, second column, so A32. I have a couple for you to try on your own. This is using matrix B. Please try these. You may pause the video. Hopefully by now you've come up with your answers. Let's check your work to see how you did. And there you go. Let's go to our next section. So N56, this is a brand new matrix. I'm asking you what is the row and columns for each of those. So row 56 or N56 means that you have the first number is your rows, the next number is your columns. So N21 means you have 2 rows and 1 column. Try N74 and N49. You should have gotten those 2 answers. Dimensions of a matrix also tell you how many elements are in the matrix. When you write the dimensions of a matrix, you always write it rows first and columns second. So I'll underline that here, rows and columns in that specific order in that order every single time. So let's do matrix A. Matrix A, remember, was back on this previous page. I'm going to identify it by rows first and columns second. So rows, it has 1, 2, 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. 3 rows and 4 columns. When we do matrix B, it's the opposite. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, followed by 1, 2, 3 columns. So when I write those answers in there, I'm going to put them in the right order. Remember, rows always goes first. So the dimensions of matrix A, remember we said that had 3 rows and 4 columns. So I write that as a 3 by 4. Matrix B, I said, was the opposite with 4 rows and 3 columns. The X in the middle just means by, so you can say this as a 3 by 4 matrix. How many elements are in matrix A? 2 ways to do that. One way is you can count, but why would you do that when you can just simply do 3 times 4 to give you 12? The same thing for matrix B. You have 12 elements. How many elements are in each of these problems? Please pause the video and try to figure it out. Let's check your work. Hopefully you got all those answers right. Row matrices and column matrices. So a column matrix is when you have one column only. A row matrix is when you have one row only. Let's try to do a row matrix and a column matrix for Vinnie's and for salad prices. For Vinnie's and for salad prices. So I'll go back to the matrix so you can see it. And then you're going to do Vinnie's and salad prices. So here's your matrix. Do a column matrix for Vinnie's only, and then do a row matrix for salad prices only. Now let's check your work. Those are Vinnie's prices, and here are the salad prices for all the restaurants. Let's get to our last one. In this question, a garment company is receiving orders from 3 different clothing shops, Shop 1, Shop 2, and Shop 3, which are listed here. Display this information in a matrix with, be very careful here, the columns are your jackets, shirts, and pants, and they have to go in that order. So let's do Shop 1 first. I'll do Shop 1 in red. Shop 1 orders 25 jackets, 75 shirts, and 75 pairs of pants. I'm going to write that in a matrix. Jackets go first. There's 25 of them. Shirts go next. There's 75 of them. Pants go last. There's 75 of those. Now pay attention to the order because now it's going to get a little tricky. Shop 2 is right here. Orders 30 jackets, 55 pairs of pants, and 45 shirts. But remember, the order that you go in are jackets first, shirts next, pants last. So when I write those in my matrix, I'm going to do jackets first. There are 30 jackets. I'm going to list my shirts next. Notice I have 45 of those. I have 55 pants. Make sure you put them in the right order. Lastly, I have Shop 3. 40 shirts, 20 jackets, and 35 pairs of pants. So let's go through and figure out what numbers and how would those go in my matrix. Again, to try to keep it color coordinated, I'll put it in green. Let's put them in the right order. Jackets go first. There's 20 of them. Shirts go next. There's 40 of those. Pants goes last. There's 35 of those. When you're done, make sure you put brackets around your matrix. It would look something like this. And then you have your matrix.